Hi, welcome to First Break. I'm your host Taylor Kinney, and today I'm joined by Xavier Main and Chelsea Maxey. How are you guys today?
Awesome.
We're doing good.
All
Thanks for
right.
having us.
Let's get into today's topic. We're talking about overuse injuries in sports. And according to the Mayo Clinic, an overuse injury is defined as any type of muscle or joint injury that is caused by repetitive trauma, most often caused by training errors. So my question to you guys is, what is overuse?
You want to take the lead on this one next?
I guess I'll have to. So I kind of agree with the whole Mayo Clinic that it is caused by a lot of, misconceptions in training. Coaches like to push their athletes a lot, and sometimes they want that, they want that extra win rather than what's best for the athlete. So
Yep.
it's definitely on the coaches on this one for me.
Yeah, overuse is just basically just putting your athletes through repetitive things over and over again. Not really giving them a break. I feel like these collegiate athletes, for example, are just going through the runs right now.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I feel like coaches really need to just calm it down a little bit and just give their players time to heal.
And especially during the off season.
Yeah. I
Definitely.
feel like that's when they really up the ante on
Yep.
in the off season.
Yeah.
And so my next question to you guys is, how early is too early to start children in sports? Like
See,
you got kindergartners playing football sometimes.
See, I come from a really active family, so the first time we start walking, my parents are ready. What can we sign them up in?
Yeah.
What can we do? So, I honestly do not have anything negative to say about kids playing sports at a young age, just because that's just my story. So,
Right.
I'm all for kids being active and getting together on a team to have some fun. So,
Yeah, I didn't come from anything like that. I mean, it was like maybe middle school was like when I started, but like other than that, it was always just like going to the park and playing and stuff like that. So I mean, I really don't have anything against it, but listen to the kids rather than
Definitely. And do you guys think that parents are causing their kids to burn out and not want to play the sport anymore?
yes, that's kind of like the negative for like how I said in my family, and since they're so like, my kid's gonna be in the NFL, my kid's gonna be in NBA, or so be it. So I feel like parents, they put so much of their like dreams or what they didn't get to achieve to like their kids. So they're like, no, like remember I took a break, so I don't think you can take a break. So I feel like they do have a huge hand in that burnout. So
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, like especially if you start them out when they're just starting to walk, like they're gonna burn out by college or whatever. They just may not want to do it anymore. But there's always that risk with anything.
Yeah, definitely. And do you guys think this generation is weaker or smaller than the previous generation, like compared to, say, teens in the 60s and 70s?
I wouldn't say weaker or anything, but they are a lot more. They know what could happen. They're more cautious about their actions.
Especially since, like, the evolving technology.
Mhm.
We know
And
a
they
lot
may not be
more.
going as hard because of that.
Yeah.
So there's a chance, but it's be hard to kind of study.
What about you?
I don't think they're weaker. I think it's just the way our generation compared to the last generation, the way we're raised is completely opposite. But you can just tell by the how we're treated while we're playing sports. Like we get hit hard, and the person's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Get back up! Come on!" But like, no matter like how much your head is ringing, your parents honestly or your coaches, since they're so, I don't want to say so old, but they just come from such a different time. They're just like, well, it's got their bell rung, they're good. Like get up, shake it off, shake it off. So definitely, I don't think we're weaker. We just know like, okay, you guys are crazy. Like we know like our body limits, and it's that mentality is so much different from theirs.
Yeah, definitely. And so, moving on, we have some stats here. In boys football, 13.3% of all injuries were overuse injuries. And another one, girls field hockey, there's 13.1% of all injuries were overuse injuries, compared to something like boys soccer, where there's only 3.2% of all injuries were overuse injuries. Do you think we should be pushing kids to participate in these sports with lower amounts of reported injuries, or do you think we should just let them do what they want to do?
Do we think we should? What was that again?
Do you think we should encourage our kids to participate in sports with lower amounts of overuse injuries, like something like boys soccer or baseball and softball?
I know what you're saying. I think we should prepare our kids for the sport that they want to go in. So, like, say your kid was real interested in football, knowing the crazy just health effects that you can get from playing football. I'll try to prepare my kid as much as possible. Make sure that they're in the right shape. Make sure their nutrition is all right. There's so much that goes into sports like that parents don't really understand that their kids need. So whatever sport my kid wants to go in, I would just make sure that I prepare him or her and their bodies for that sport that they're about to play.
I definitely think we should kind of push them more into those sports because, I mean, if you think about it, like, say if, I know it's an extreme case, but like Kevin Ware, for example, his was an overuse injury, and it probably was hard for him to get back into what he loved, which was basketball. So, I mean, if you put someone in football that's 13.3%, you know, it could be hard for someone to stay away from what they really love. So
yeah, definitely.
It's kind of a push-pull thing.
And my next question, 2,800 out of 7.3 million high school athletes obtained some sort of overuse injury. And if you look at it, that's not a whole lot. So is this something we should even worry about? Like, should we worry about overuse injuries compared to other types of injuries, other more serious injuries?
I would definitely say yes, just because how it is, like, most people don't even know what overuse really is, or that if they are overusing their athletes. I think it's just something we should need to put out in the open, out in the air, just so coaches can be aware of what they're doing and the effects they have on their athletes.
I definitely agree with the putting it out in the air, letting coaches know that, you know, that it's definitely a possibility for their athletes. But I mean, 2,800 out of 7.3 million people, like, it's not an epidemic that needs to be like on the front line, but just kind of putting it out there and making sure people know that.
Let the coaches and the parents know just.
And that kind of runs into my next question. Should we educate coaches more on this topic of overuse injuries?
Absolutely. I think we should.
Coaches need to know about everything that can happen to their players and how to address it.
Definitely.
For sure.
All right, so after we've had this debate, I'm going to ask you guys again, what is overuse?
Overuse is, I think I'm still sticking with my original. It's just basically when you're just putting your athletes through so much practice and just the weightlifting and not giving them enough recovery time. Such, like, we can do high school, collegiate athletes. Their seasons are so, I feel like you have so many games in such a short amount of period, so you just need to be on your A game so much. There's not that much time for recovery. So the overuse is just basically coaches just rushing their players, just like trying to get as much performance out as possible. So I think I'm still sticking with that.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with sticking with my original answer because, I mean, it's just putting through your athlete. Like you said, putting your athletes through a lot and not get. I mean, I know collegiate athletes, they practice, 6 days out of a week, and 24 hours is never enough even for your average Joe to recover.
Yeah. All right, well, we had a good debate about overuse. Once again, this is First Break at ISU, joined by Chelsea Maxey and Xavier Main, and that's all we have for you. Thank you.
Bye.
That's definitely not 20 minutes.